Hey guys, it's Laura. Welcome back. Today's video is going to be my May book haul. I went a little bit out of control and bought a lot of books. What else is new? Let's get into the books that I have bought this month. There are a lot. A lot of these I bought used at my local used bookstore, which I really love. And it was also Mother's Day happened in the month of May, so my husband took me out shopping for Mother's Day weekend and I got a lot of books then. So yes, there's a lot to go through, so let's just get into it. So the first book that I have here is Goblin by Josh Malerman. So Josh Malerman is one of my absolute favorite authors. I feel like I don't talk about him enough here on my channel, but he is the author of Bird Box, of Mallory, of Unbury Carol. I love all of his books. They are all either 4 or 5 stars for me. This is a book that he read earlier, or that he wrote, that he wrote earlier, and in my journey to read everything by Josh Malerman, I wanted to get my hands on a copy of this, but it was out of print. However, it was recently reprinted in this beautiful hardcover edition. It came out on May 18th, I believe. So of course I grabbed myself a copy because I love Josh Malerman. This is it says a novel and 6 novellas. So it's 6 short stories that all take place in this small town called Goblin. And after reading a ton of romance at the end of May, I'm now in the mood for horror for whatever reason, so I had to pick this up. I definitely want to get to it soon. I might save it though for like the spooky season for autumn time, but I might just get to it before that because I'm super excited. But I'm really glad to have this. I love the cover of this so much, like the haunted mansion on top and the labyrinth and the girl. I just love it. I love this cover. I think it's gonna be really fun. The next book I have here is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. You guys know this is my favorite book of all time. I picked up this beautiful Waterstones exclusive edition of The Night Circus. This came out right around the time The Starless Sea came out, I believe, and I never picked it up then. But I had always meant to, and so I finally got around to buying myself a copy. Absolutely love it. I think the cover is stunning. I love the blue and white. And it has blue sprayed edges as well, and it's just gorgeous, and it's gonna look so good on my shelf. This is a book that it's my favorite book ever, okay? And it's a book that I constantly reread, so I will probably get around to reading this exact copy one day, and I cannot wait. I'm so happy to have this. It just makes me so happy. So of course I had to buy that. The next book I have here is one of my anticipated releases of the year, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Andy Weir wrote The Martian, which is literally my favorite sci-fi book of all time. So I had to pick up his next book. I heard that this one is really good. I know his second one, Artemis, wasn't as well loved. I really enjoyed it, but it definitely wasn't as good as The Martian. But I've heard that this one is quite close to The Martian, so I'm excited for that. I don't exactly know what this is about. It says Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. So, you know, no pressure. This seems like it's going to be perfect. Very high stakes, action-packed. I cannot wait. I'm very excited to read this. Another anticipated release for me is Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. After reading Cemetery Boys by this author, I knew I had to read everything they ever write. I really enjoyed that story. It was just so heartfelt and so warm, and it made me just so happy. So of course I had to get their second book. This is a Peter Pan retelling, I believe, and it has one of my buzzwords, which are like creepy woods. So like, I know I'm gonna love this. I just know it, and I cannot wait. It says it's been 5 years since Wendy and her 2 brothers vanished into the woods near the small coastal town of Astoria, Oregon. Wendy returned, but she came back without her brothers, and now it's 5 years later, and I think kids start to go missing again, and so everyone looks to Wendy to find out what exactly happened to her 5 years ago. It sounds great. I love Peter Pan retellings, and I love creepy woods, so I think I'm absolutely going to love this. The next book I have here I picked up at my local used bookstore, and I don't know if anyone else is like this, but ever since I discovered BookTube, what was it, 3-4 years ago now, I have completely changed the way I shop for books. I go into a bookstore with an agenda. I know exactly what I want. I may browse the shelves, but I only go to books that look familiar to me, you know what I mean? As opposed to before BookTube, when I would go to a bookstore and browse the shelves and pick up a book and read a synopsis and see what I thought about it. before I bought it. I don't do that anymore because I always have like so many recommendations and suggestions in my mind and books that people are talking about. Well, this time when I went into the bookstore, I actually took the time to like look at books that I've never heard of before and read the synopsis and see whether I wanted to get them. And that is how I picked out this book, which is The House of Shattered Wings, and this is by Aliette de Bodard. Now, I have heard of this author before. I've never read anything by them, but I have heard of them and I've heard pretty good things. And this is a fantasy. I believe it's an adult fantasy. It says, in the late 20th century, the streets of Paris are lined with haunted ruins, the aftermath of a great war between arcane powers. It is a story of the war in heaven, igniting the city of light in a fantasy of divine power and deep conspiracy. And when I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? Yes. Angels is another one of my buzzwords. War in heaven, are you kidding me? I think that this is going to be great. And it takes place in Paris, which is a city that I love reading from, so I cannot wait to give this one a try. Hopefully I can get to it soon because it sounds something that is right up my alley. The next book I have here is actually a non-fiction book. This is The Book of Help by Megan Griswold. This is a memoir. It says here, a memoir in remedies. So I don't remember where I ended up hearing about this, but as soon as I did, I knew I had to pick it up. This interested me because Megan Griswold ends up going on this journey of like self-discovery, and she goes to a lot of different places throughout the world and learns a lot of different types of medicine. So she studies Eastern medicine, she studies New Age medicine, the esoteric and things like that, and all of that really interests me, so I definitely wanted to pick this up and give it a try. I've heard really good things. It's blurbed by Elizabeth Gilbert, whose nonfiction I also really enjoy. So I had to go ahead and pick this up. I'm really excited to give it a try. I don't know when I'll get to it because honestly, I just don't prioritize nonfiction, but I do want to read it at some point. The next book I have here is The Faded Sky by Mary Robinette Kowal. This is the second book in the Lady Astronaut universe series, and I still haven't read the first book. I was supposed to read that last month and I didn't, but I picked up the second book because I wanted to binge the entire series for a video project thing that I'm doing. Haven't even gotten around to actually starting that, or I did start it, but I kind of blew it off after not being in the mood to read any of the books. So hopefully I can get to this at some point, and hopefully I enjoy the first book because I have the second book now, so that would suck if I didn't. This hefty book here is Fall or Dodge in Hell by Neil Stevenson. I picked this up solely on the recommendation of my husband, who, me and him tend to read a lot of similar things, and he really enjoyed this, and he said that he thinks I would really enjoy it. I don't know too much about this. I know that it's huge. This is like a weapon. It is really heavy, but I think what it is that we have this man who is this multi-billionaire, and he ends up getting like brain damage or something like that, but then it's years later. I think he dies. It's years later and he finds himself waking up. Okay, so it says Dodge's family has his brain scanned and its data structures uploaded and stored in the cloud until it can eventually be revived. In the coming years, technology allows Dodge's brain to be turned back on. It is an achievement that is nothing less than the disruption of death itself and the beginning of a new world, an eternal afterlife called Bit Worlds, in which humans continue to exist as digital souls. And the concept of that sounded really, really good. So I think that this is something I will enjoy. Will I get to it soon? Probably not, because it's huge and it intimidates me, but I'm glad that I have it now so that I can possibly read it at some point. Let's get into some of the romances that I bought this month. The first one that I have here is The Beautiful Ones, and this is by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read Mexican Gothic by this author and I really enjoyed it. That was a horror. This is a romance, so I'm sure this is going to be a little bit different. It does have like a speculative twist. The main character in here is telekinetic, I believe, and it's something that like sets her apart from the people around her. They call her a witch, but she ends up meeting this man, this very prestigious, mysterious man who is also telekinetic, and I believe he kind of like takes her under his wing and teaches her about their power. She ends up falling in love with him, but he is hiding a very dark secret, apparently. So it sounds interesting and a lot different from what I typically thought Sylvia Moreno Garcia writes, but she does write in a ton of different genres. So I'm really excited to give this one a try. I will probably be picking this one up sometime this summer because it sounds like a very good summer read. And I know that it takes place in Mexico and it has in some kind of historical time setting, but I don't know what time period it's set in because it doesn't tell me. But yeah, very excited to give this one a try. The next book I have here is one that I am so excited about, and I cannot believe I haven't gotten to it yet. This is from one of my favorite authors. This is Makeup Breakup by Lily Menon. So Lily Menon is also known as Sanjia Menon, and as Sanjia Menon, she writes the Dimpleverse books. So When Dimple Met Rishi and There's Something About Sweetie. I love those books so much. So I'm really excited to read an adult book by her. This is her adult debut, romance. We're following a character who has an app called Makeup, and it's been called the Google Translate for failing relationships. And then our male main character has an app called Breakup, which is said to be the Uber for breakups. The two of them have like these opposing businesses, but also they kind of had like this summer fling, and then they thought that that was all it was, that they'd never see each other again, go their separate ways. Turns out they end up having to work together. So I think this is going to be somewhat of a hate to love romance. I'm really excited to give this one a try. I absolutely love Sanjia Menon's writing, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy this one. The next two, or actually the last two, that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and Act Your Ave, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the second and third books in the Brown Sister trilogy by Talia Hibbert. Absolutely adored them. Get a Life Chloe Brown was so good and probably my favorite. So I thought it was going to be really difficult to beat that and how much I enjoyed Chloe Brown. But I have read both of these and absolutely adored them. So I honestly don't know what my favorite is because I love them all so much. We've got Piranesi by Susanna Clark. I know absolutely nothing about this book other than the cover is gorgeous, and I've heard people compare this to The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which you know is one of my favorite books. But I picked this up simply because it's part of the project that I was talking about, so I need to get to this at some point so I can wrap up that project. Can't tell you what it's about. I don't want to read the synopsis at this point, but the cover's gorgeous, the end papers are gorgeous, and the naked hardcover is gorgeous. So it's a really pretty book if nothing else, and I'm hoping that I will really enjoy it whenever I get around to reading it. The next book I have here is Remote Control by Nadia Korafor. This is a book that I was highly anticipating for this year. This came out back in January. I was planning to read it then, but never got around to it. But now I have a copy, so I will be getting to this very soon. The Adopted Child of the Angel of Death. Beware her, mind her, death guards her like one of its own. Sounds really good. Don't want to read any more of the synopsis. I just want to go into this unaware. I really enjoyed the Binti trilogy by Nadia Korafor, which is the only other books that I've read by her, and ever since I read those I've really been wanting to read more from her, so I'm really excited to pick this one up. Next I have Son of the Storm, and this is by Suyi Davies Okumboa. I've heard a lot of great things about this book. I've heard that it's very unique. We're following a scholar who is very interested in the tales and stories of the happenings outside of the city, and then he ends up discovering someone with a forbidden magic. I think they have to work together. That's all I really know, but it sounds really good, and this cover is absolutely stunning, and like I said, I've heard amazing things, so I'm really excited to get to this one. The next book I have here I actually showed off in a vlog. It might have been my last April vlog. I'll link it up above if you want to check it out, but I got the Owl Crate edition of Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart, which is a book that is so near and dear to my heart because it is the first Jamaican inspired YA fantasy that I've ever seen, ever read. I really enjoyed this story, and I'm really happy to have the special Owl Crate edition, which is very shiny, if you can see. I love this cover. I think it is absolutely stunning. It is also signed by the author. There's this beautiful tree on the cover, and there's art on the reverse of the dust jacket, which looks like this. It's absolutely stunning. Highly recommend this book. If you want to hear my full thoughts, you can check out that vlog, but I really love this, and I really love this cover. and I'm very happy to have a special edition. The next book I got is another one that I got at my local used bookstore. This is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. I saw this there. It was for a great price, and it's like in excellent condition. Like, it does not look like it's been read at all. So I'm very happy to have this. This is a sci-fi that deals with multiverse travel. So in this world you can travel to different universes, but you have to be dead in that universe to travel to it. Our main character is dead in several worlds, so she is the perfect candidate to travel to different worlds, and things happen, I believe. I don't know, but I've heard really great things about this, especially from Angela from Literature Science Alliance. She really enjoyed this, and I think it was like the day I bought this book, I saw that she did a review on it talking about how good it was, and I was just like, that was fate. The next book I have here is Poisoned by Jennifer Donnelly. Jennifer Donnelly wrote Stepsister, which was like this feminist retelling of Cinderella, but not quite a retelling. It was like a reimagining of from one of the stepsisters' perspective that took place after the Cinderella story, if that makes sense. This is actually a Snow White retelling, and I think it's going to be just as good as Stepsister. I cannot wait to read it. I adore her writing style. I haven't read anything else by her but Stepsister, but it was incredible, so I'm really excited to get to this. This was actually one of my most anticipated releases, and I never picked it up. It came out sometime last year. I don't remember when, but I have it now, so hopefully I'll get to this very soon. The next two books I've already talked about in my mid-month wrap-up, and they are Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. This is a cozy mystery. It's actually a cozy, like, foodie mystery. Is that a thing? It follows Lila, who comes back home to help out with her Tita Rosie's Filipino restaurant, and someone ends up dying in the restaurant, and they're the main suspects, and so she has to clear her name, do a little bit of sleuthing. It's so much fun. I really enjoyed this. Probably one of my absolute favorite cozy mysteries that I've read in a while. Highly recommend it, and after I read it, I had to pick myself up a physical copy because I loved it so much, and definitely plan on continuing on in the series. I cannot wait for the next book to come out. And then this one as well I talked about in my mid-month wrap-up. This is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto. This is an adult contemporary. It's hard to describe because it's like, it's not a cozy mystery, but it kind of has those feels. It's maybe a little bit of a romance, but it's not exactly a romance, so it's difficult to describe what this is, but I absolutely loved it. It is the most wild, over-the-top, crazy book that you'll ever read. I loved it so much. So much. It was a 5-star for me. We're following Medi Chan, who is a wedding photographer, and her entire family, like her and her mom and her aunties, are all part of this wedding business, and they set her up on this blind date. She accidentally kills him, then calls her aunties for help in like dealing with the body. The body accidentally gets shipped to this huge wedding that they're working in. Hijinks ensue. It's hilarious, over the top and ridiculous, but I loved every second of it. So glad I picked this up. I picked this up totally on a whim at Target one day. The next book I have here is A Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. This is a book that I've been very, very interested in because so many people have talked about it. I've actually heard a lot of mixed things. Like, some people absolutely love this, some people absolutely hate this, but I'm really excited to give it a try and see for myself. This is a revenge plot fantasy. African inspired, I believe. I love a good revenge plot. I've discovered that about myself. So I'm hoping that I'll really enjoy this. And it also has dragons in it. I think like 1 in every 2,000 women or something are able to call down dragons. So that excites me. I'm really excited to give it a try. Hopefully we'll get to this soon. Next, another book that I picked up totally on a whim, and that is The Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry by C.M. Wagoner. I've seen this one going around. It follows a woman who ends up becoming a bodyguard for this other woman. The job looks like nothing but romance and easy money until things take a deadly and undead turn. With the help of a bird-loving necromancer, a shape-shifting schoolgirl, and an ill-tempered, reanimated mouse named Buttons, Deli and Wynn are determined to get the best of an adversary who wields a twisted magic and has friends in the highest of places. This is another one that just sounds ridiculous. I think it also features a female-female romance, so I'm really excited to give this one a try at some point. The next book that I picked up is Vita Nostra, and this is by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko. I have seen this going around. This is a translated work. I believe it's dark academia. I don't remember too much about this, but I remember hearing Jess Owens talking about it and how good it was, and ever since then I was like, okay, I need to read this. So I saw this at the used bookstore for a really good price in really great condition, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick that up. I couldn't tell you anything more than that. Don't really know what it's about other than it's dark academia, and I'm excited to give it a try. I don't know when I'll get to it, but this seems like the perfect type of atmospheric read for like autumn, so maybe I'll pick it up then. And the next two books I picked up also at the used bookstore. When I saw them, I was so excited. I've been wanting to read more from this author. I read, what was it? What was the book I read by them? Anyway, this is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. The book I read by him was The Horror Store. I read Horror Store by him and I really enjoyed that. I loved the horror aspects, but I really loved the humor as well. So I'm hoping that I'll really enjoy this one too. This is about a group of women, housewives, I believe, that have this book club, and then this man comes along and he's a vampire. I don't know. I've heard really great things about it, and I know that I really enjoy his writing style, so I'm excited to give this one a try. Again, probably saving it for like autumn time, but who knows, I might get to it sooner. I'm actually really in the mood for horror right now, so we'll see how this month goes. But the next book by him that I picked up was my best friend's Exorcism. I adore the cover of this. It's meant to look like a VHS, so I just love that. I love it so much. I think this takes place in the 80s as well, and it's about an exorcism. I was always hesitant to pick this book up, even when I saw other people reading it, because I thought, I don't know if that's for me. Exorcism stories are not my thing, I don't think, but after reading Horror Store and like really enjoying his writing, I think that this might be okay for me. So excited to try both of these out. The next book I picked up is The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. This is a little novella in the Name of the Wind series. This follows a character that we meet in the first book, and we get to learn a little bit more about her, I believe, Ari. And I'm excited to have this. It's illustrated throughout, which is really fun, so I'm excited to give this one a read. I don't know when I'm gonna pick it up. I probably should read the second book in the series first. Second to last, we have this beautiful, beautiful book, which is Tales of Edgar Allan Poe. Poe is absolutely one of my favorites, and I am constantly rereading Edgar Allan Poe every spooky season. I saw this and I had to have it. It's gorgeous. I love these old books. Look at that spine. Like, that spine is just gonna look so good on my shelf. This is a limited edition of Tales of Edgar Allan Poe, published exclusively for subscribers to the Franklin Library Collection. This was published in 1974, and it's just stunning. There's also illustrations throughout. I just saw them. Illustrations. The very last book that I have to talk about today, we're finally at the end of this massive book haul, and that is When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. I don't know when this video is going up, so I don't know if you've already seen my wrap up, but I read The Weight of Feathers by this author. It was so beautiful. I love their writing so much. They just have this beautiful lyrical writing style. When the Moon Was Ours. I don't know what this is about. I just saw that it was Anna Marie McLemore and I picked it up. I just want to read every single one of their books, so I had to pick this up. And that is it, my friends. Those are all the books that I bought in the month of May. I know it's a lot, but I am so excited to read all of these. So do let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or opinions on the books that I talked about today. Let me know which books you think that I need to get to ASAP. You know I love hearing from you in the comments. But that is going to be it from me today. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.